Hey again. Welcome back and thanks for coming back. I wanted to talk about mirroring today. I felt like it was a good time, and yeah, things seem to be aligning for that to be the topic that's up right now. So, mirroring can happen in a lot of ways. It seems to be inevitable for twin flames to mirror each other in some ways. Um, but it doesn't always happen like verbatim. It doesn't always happen like, sometimes it's like a reflection of what you're going through or what you have to learn or what you need to see. Like you're looking at it and you're like, oh. And then other times it's more of like a synonymous like series of events. And other times it can be both at the same time, and other ways as well, like events, timing, synchronicities. You're looking and you're learning and you're reflecting, and your other half is learning, and it'll all be at the same time. Even with interferences, it's like just work through it, like whatever you need to do as a couple, as a pair, whatever, but as an individual, like just wait out the storm. I personally cannot stress that enough. And if anybody has a similar personality like to mine, sometimes my assumptions and feelings and fears and insecurities and all those little things that that just make up that like uncool orb that's in your mind, that's like I'm gonna attack you like now. All of those things are like my shovel, and I was in a psychology class, and this may not be too much of a new kind of information for for some, but one thing that I did take from my psychology class was that when one thing happens that's not so hot, it tends to put your mind into like kind of acknowledging other things that aren't too hot, or seeing things as not being so hot. And by not being so hot, I mean they just suck. When you feel like something sucks, everything feels like it sucks, and then everything just feels bad, and then you run the risk of feeling like hopeless and in despair, and painting all these pictures in your head like this is never going to work out. I'm not worth it. I've been daydreaming all along. I've been putting myself on this pedestal all along. And by that, I mean, most of us adore our other halves, and that can be daunting. I don't even know, not daunting in a bad way, but I don't even know if it gets to a point where you just get used to a person. I just don't. I don't see that being possible. So, it's like back in the day they used to say you gotta get your mind right. And so, for at least my other half, but myself included, I gotta get, when those times strike, I gotta get my mind right. And I feel like I'm looking straight up when I'm looking here. Okay, there I am. Because I see my eyes doing this wild thing in the corner of my sight, and it's just like, what's that? Drinking a shake here. It's not really like a shake. It's like a smoothie, but kind of sour. I don't know. Anyway, must be the pineapple. But anyway, Excuse me. So where was I? So tough through the storm, and forgiveness is a big part of it. Like, I guess not forgiveness, because a lot of times or sometimes there's nothing that's ever happened. Most of the time that's the case, at least in my circumstance. On the other side, that's the case. On my side, I can throw a mean tantrum. I can be pretty pissed off, and that receiving forgiveness helps a lot because it teaches me how to forgive, by having that exercised on me. But trust is what my situation is, and that's kind of like the mirroring, because call it past life experience from like just straight up survival, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, including this one, and having gone through things before my knowledge of my twin, that were like uncool, and especially from specific sources that fundamentally should be the ones that you trust the most, that can fuck your psyche up a little bit, and I don't think permanently, because I think once that something's acknowledged, you run a pretty good chance of working it out, or at least acknowledging, the signals, or the symptoms, or the byproducts of these things. So I think that since I got through those situations, and made a decision to like acknowledge the truth and not make excuses up, it's like when you've gone through stuff, it's like when you still kind of think that you're in the forest. It's kind of like, I liken it to coming back from war. I've never been a soldier for the U.S. military, but I guess that it's like, coming home from a war. And you know what? I did play a soldier once in a video, a music video, a country music video, and I played a soldier, and the name of the video is I Just Came Home from a War. So I did play a soldier before, but I feel them, it's like after you're done and you're fighting and you're running uphill and for years, when it's time to run downhill, it's kind of like, what is this? So it's the same with the twin flame situation. It's like, thank God for forgiving, understanding, patient people, because I'm almost looking to pop off, and I'm not trying to, and I think I do a pretty okay job most of the time. You see all those descriptive terms in there, of just trying to avoid that situation. But it was more of a practice makes perfect kind of situation, because my twin and I were introduced about 3 years ago, and it's amazing, the transformation, and that wasn't like my doing, that wasn't me like, oh, I'm just gonna go ahead and make some progress now. Oh, here I am, it was a lot, and that mirroring was a big part of it, and now you fast forward to, or you come to present day, and I still have my moments, but I've learned to just sit and kind of be cool, during times where in my life I'm dissatisfied, like I don't think I'm doing well enough with work, especially, like I don't, the pieces that, what I'm producing isn't up to speed. I'm not up to par. That makes me like frustrated in a lot of ways, and that affects just how I think and how I operate and how I feel and all of those things. Like feeling is also like a big part of these situations. It's like if you're feeling one way, you guys kind of go hand in hand with one another. So it's better, it's a good idea to try your best to stay positive and to examine a situation, and when you still reach this non-conclusion, just trust and wait the storm out and just continue to try your best. And these twin flame situations I've found also reflect life, because also with work and my career especially, I told you I was an actor in this music video. Like, I'm not an actor. I tried all kinds of things in my life, and what I am is what I am, and it's like esoteric things like this and talking and going into that realm of like readings and all that, that's part of who I am. But the other part of who I am is has always been, there's no end, and I think in a lot of careers that may be the case, but especially in mine, you're always going to have a weakness. You're always going to have, in the way that I think, there's always a weakness to work on. There's always something that you're not so good at. There's always something that that you need to learn or relearn or practice. And to me, the fire that I've always put on myself is that I'm never going to be good enough. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's more like there's not going to be a point in my career that I'm like, yep, this is it, this is what I do. It's just not how I function as a person. So it's not how I function as an artist, like at all, I just started tattooing, I had my first apprenticeship ongoing, but also like first starting like 3 years ago, and I only became professional in the last like year and a half. I've been an artist my whole life, so even though I'm very comfortable with fine art, there's not some point that I reach with painting or illustration or graphic design or any one of the mediums, because I try to practice them all. There's never a point where I'm like, yep, got it. With tattooing, it's the same. That's just adding another situation to the pile, and that's permanent. Like, you have work to do. With every single thing that I do artistically, that is the mindset. And sometimes I reach walls, and they can be really frustrating walls, for whatever reason. Like, I'm getting to that wall, and I'll see that it reflects, something that's going on in my twin flame relationship, like I want this, but I have to do all these other things, or I want this, but I'm not quite sure how to articulate it, or I'm not even sure what I'm wanting, and I want something in my artistic career, and even over there I really won't know what I want, but I'll have a yearning inside. And I think that is fundamentally like how twin flame relationships start. It's like this powerful drive, and it starts to become defined over time. You know, it's like when I was younger, I used to have this image in my head, and this might help people in identifying who their twin flame may be. But I had this image of this person, and I knew that it was a he. I knew that he would love me unconditionally. I knew that he had like perfect everything, you know, but he never had a face. You know, I could see like the outline and like the shape maybe of his head and like his height, but but he was really familiar. And this was starting maybe around 16. So, you know, like mid 90s. And then as time went on, that built into like frustration of like, I don't know what I'm feeling. There's nobody that is this person. Who is this person? I know that they're there, but you know, what the fuck? Like, you know, it's like, what is this feeling? This is mental. But then as things progressed and I started really getting fed up with non-truths in my life, and that was that situation. Those were multiple situations, but with that trust situation that I was bringing up earlier, when I made a decision, like, this is some bullshit, like, I've been trying for years with you people to get it right, and you fuck me over time after time after time. That's cool, but fuck this shit, I'm out, you know? And when those things come, sometimes during like the twin flame, I guess, realization or union, you go through what they call like a dark night. And my dark night was dark as fuck. It's like, fuck, but it wasn't that dark. You know, all the stuff that I went through before when I was, you know, escaping and realizing what the truth was, then I realized, whoa, you know, like, wow, that was fucked up. But I didn't know it was fucked up because I was so deep in this fucked up fantasy world that the people that were in it just deemed as being okay, you know. And when you're in this small little like nebulous, this little environment with people that all have this like semi fucked up way of thinking or really fucked up way of thinking, it's like a cult, you know. So when you're like out of the cult, then you're realizing like, wait, not everyone does their hair like this. Not everyone does these things. What? Wait, you didn't have to live in a closet? Like, I didn't have to live in a closet, but it's kind of along those lines, you know. And no offense to someone who's living in a closet, but that kind of abuse is real. I'll just leave it like that. So, but I had my twin flame, you know, for support, thank God, you know. And at that time, I was still learning about what it was. And God did put it in my life, you know, people and situations, thank God for them, that I would learn about even what a twin flame was, you know. I just knew that the person that I was introduced to, like, was right. And by any means necessary, I wanted to hold on to them forever, you know. And there was still some things to go through. When we first started interacting, it was like I didn't really know what was going on. I knew I just didn't want to let go. So I was really like, gotta be cool, because if I fuck up, this guy's gonna just hightail it out of here, you know. And because I wasn't like on the same wavelength, I wasn't really sure. I just knew I didn't want to lose him. So, but that dark night thing is real. And one thing I'll say is that if you have a situation that you have to get away from, when you're trying to get away from a situation and the people who are holding on the tightest get word or catch wind of you know, they're getting let go of, or, you know, their bullshit's being figured out, they start holding on tighter. They start fucking with you more. They start, you know, just riding your coattails more. It's just like they can't just shut the fuck up, get the fuck out, and just leave you the fuck alone. No, they can't be like that. They gotta hold on real tight, and sometimes your situation will get worse before it gets better, especially if you're dealing with like deceitful kind of people, and you're like basically the only one who's like, I can't deal with you. And it's not as if, you know, when you're escaping, you have to like say or do anything offensive to like set these kinds of people off. They just know in their hearts, whether they have a conscience or not, that they're being found out or they're losing control. And that's a big part of things, is when you find truth and you start to follow that truth, people who aren't in the truth lose control. And especially when you let them know, like, hey, done dealing with you. And they just get mad. And they do more things to fuck with you. They do more things to interfere because they don't want, you know what I'm saying? Whatever they don't want. It's not important, you know. But just for anyone who's going through that, my advice is just keep on your path, you know. Anything that's worth it is worth a fight. And I'll tell you one thing, you can look through history. Anytime anybody is fighting for their security or fighting for freedom from oppressive type people, you have to put up a fight. And, you know, if not, you're just going to be, you know, their slave. You know what I'm saying? Like, whether it's with a chain or whips or whatever. But also there's mental enslavement, you know. It's like mental captivity, vampiric people who just, you know, backstabbing, you know, and then playing dumb and trying to set you up and never acknowledging the truth, and they want you to stay. It's just like, I cannot understand that kind of person. But when you start doing this twin flame thing, when you start doing the ascension thing, there's no room for bullshit. There's no room for lies. So, you know, even like the jealousy and the confusion and, you know, misunderstanding or judgment or, you know, whatever it is, the truth always comes out, you know. So that's one thing, like during those times, is like, just be cool and chill and just wait for the truth to surface. And just know that the greatest love of all on this earth is that of your twin flame. In my opinion, people will have all kinds of opinions, and that's cool. Like when it comes to like this whole twin flame situation, that's cool. But one thing I will say is like, it's like greatest love of all. You're all the man that I need. Just like Whitney Houston, she had all those songs, right? Rest in peace, Whitney. But it's true. That's that. I think that's where I'm going to end this video. So make it through the night, pursue the truth. Know that some cats just have an intolerance for the truth. Don't even bother trying to understand that logic. Don't put much energy on it. And yeah, trust and forgive and love. Enjoy. So on that note, I'm going to go and continue my day. And it's been very fun making this video. I vent a little bit, but not even vent. I don't know, is that a vent? Try not to put too much energy on nonsense, but for learning purposes. Sometimes people bringing it up will help ones that haven't really experienced it yet, you know, and I'm cool with that. So, on that note, I will see you next time, and take care in the meanwhile. Bye.